Hello, everyone. Welcome to Good Film Hunting, a podcast about an average couple who are on the hunt for some good movies. In today's world, we are consuming more media than ever, perhaps more passively than ever. But we believe that by documenting and discussing the media we intake, how and what we intake will change for the better. It is important that we don't just become another consumer, but a participant, seeking to engage with the media we consume, so that we can see how our view of the world affects how we perceive it, and how it affects how we perceive the world. In this podcast, we are not only on the hunt for some good movies, but on the hunt for a good discussion. So, lean in, participate, and enjoy.
I should do my impression of you.
Should you?
Yes. Like, hello everyone. This is James Scott, and I'm with my lovely wife, Savannah. And we're here to talk about a movie. What kind of movie is it, Savannah?
A space movie?
You're right, it is. Good job. And we're going to talk about it today.
You make me sound like I'm talking to you as if you're a child. Is that how I talk to you?
I know.
Well then, okay. Well, good evening, everyone. No needs for introductions because those have been done. I was going to do my Bane impression,
Oh, sorry.
but we kind of threw off the rhythm, so that'll have to come in here. I'll have to fit that in somewhere else now. It's okay. It'll just be the iconic line, you know.
Should I do an impression of you doing a Bane impression?
You should try.
Houston, we have a problem. I knew that's what you were going to say, weren't you?
Yes, obviously. What else am I supposed to say? There's no other lines I'm supposed to say.
I'm sorry, did I ruin it for you?
Houston, we have a problem.
That's what it sounded like.
That's what you said. No. Anyway, I'll throw that in somewhere else now. So yeah, thanks for joining us this evening. We're talking about Apollo 13. This will be a fun one to talk about. There's a lot of interesting facts about this one. I think we both have, for the most part, pretty positive takeaways from it that we'll delve into here in a little bit. But yeah, before we begin, let me give a brief breakdown of the episode for those who might be listening for the first time. So to start, I've got a list of facts for Savannah that I'll tell her that she may or may not know about the movie. Then we'll go over our thoughts about the movie and the history with the movie, if we have any history, that is. We'll talk about our favorite moment of the movie. We'll go through our rating system, where we have 4 categories that we'll rate on a scale of 1 to 5. We'll give our overall rating at the end, and then we will move on to our next movie some other time. Not tonight, obviously, because it's very late. Mm-hmm. So, Savannah, Apollo 13. This is obviously a film that is based off of actual events. So, you can only bet that as far as interesting facts go, the list is probably going to be a bit longer than usual. So you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, buckle down. Not buckle down, buckle up. Buckle up. We're buckling up because it's space, and that's what you say too.
It's true.
You don't buckle down. So yeah, actually there were so many interesting facts about this one that I'll go into later that I really had to go through and pick what I found most interesting. But okay, let's start from the beginning. This film was released June 30th, 1995, which makes it, pretty old movie, all things considered.
It's true. Almost 29 years old.
I know, that's crazy. It has a runtime of 140 minutes. Guess its budget. I think it's the same as, what was the last movie we did? School of Rock?
I don't, 25 million.
No.
23 million.
No, reverse 25.
Oh, 52 million.
Yeah. I think that was what School of Rock was.
I think so too.
So yeah, 52 million. It had a box office.
Impressive that this movie had a same budget as School of Rock, considering they did a lot of space stuff.
I know.
They went to space.
I know, that's pretty good.
Probably hard.
Gas prices, I'm telling you.
I know, it's probably hard to film
Way better.
in space.
It had a box office of $355.2 million. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
This was directed by Ron Howard, who did the movies that we've seen: Cinderella Man, A Beautiful Mind, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. One of those is
Classics.
very different than the others. The movie was, or the film was written by William Broyles, who did, apparently he wrote The Polar Express, which...
The book? Oh, no. The movie.
No, the film screenplay, which it's not really, it's whatever. That's mainly a filler movie. But he apparently did the screenplay for Castaway as well, which is a movie I do want to see.
Also starring Tom Hanks.
Yeah, also starring Tom Hanks. And he wrote it alongside Al Reiner, who has done lots of various NASA documentaries. The music was done by James Horner, who scored all the previous Ron Howard movies I just mentioned. He's also done Avatar and Titanic. So he's done a lot of iconic movies. For actors, this obviously stars Tom Hanks as Commander Jim Lovell. Is it Lovell or Lovell?
I think it's Lovell.
Lovell? Okay. As Kevin Bacon as Jack Swigert. Bill Paxton as Fred Hayes. There's a lot of interesting names here. I apologize if I'm butchering every single one of them. Gary Sinise as Ken Mattingly.
Gary Sinise.
Sinise, maybe. Are you familiar with him?
Only because my dad has been compared to him
Oh, really?
to
Interesting.
look like him.
Oh. Was he the guy who got left behind? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I can kind of see that a little
Yeah,
bit. The ears. It's the ears.
It is the ears. Yeah, I feel like especially when he was older.
Okay, interesting.
That's interesting. I didn't even. I've never heard of him in a movie.
Oh, well, there you go.
I thought he's just some random random actor that with no name.
And the film also has Kathleen Quinlan as Marilyn Lovell. Sorry, I'm having a hard time with these names tonight. And then Ed Harris as the flight director, Gene Kranz. Ed Harris, we saw him in A Beautiful Mind. He was kind of like that
Best
agent.
friend. Oh no, agent.
The agent
Oh,
guy.
okay.
And then he was also in Top Gun Maverick for a little bit. This movie does have the original Jim and Marilyn in it. Jim appears as the captain of the recovery ship who pick up the astronauts at the end. The director apparently intended to make him an admiral of the ship, but Jim said that having retired as a captain, he chose to appear in his actual rank wearing his own Navy uniform. So I didn't actually realize he'd been in the Navy beforehand, which makes sense. A lot of astronauts were military people beforehand, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And then Marilyn herself appears among the spectators during the launch sequence. So I guess if you know what she looks like, you'll see her. But
There
if
you go.
not... So fun fact about the production, Ron Howard from the beginning of this movie decided that every single shot in this was going to be original. So there's no reuse footage in this whatsoever. So even if it's like television that you're seeing that looks old, it's completely original.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. For the pre-production, to prepare for the roles, Hanks, Paxton, and Bacon all attended the U.S. Space Camp in Huntsville, Alabama, where they did actual training exercises inside a simulated command module and lunar module. The actors were taught about the 500 buttons, toggles, and switches used to operate the spacecraft.
Wow.
The actors then traveled to the Johnson Space Center in Houston, where they flew in the KC-135 plane to simulate weightlessness in outer space. So that was interesting. Filming, principal photography for Apollo 13 started in August 1994. Howard anticipated the difficulty of portraying weightlessness in a realistic manner, so he consulted Steven Spielberg about it, and he suggested filming inside the KC-135 airplane. And I'm not sure how it works, but I guess they built the set of the lunar module inside this airplane. So that's a huge airplane.
Why does the airplane not have gravity in it?
I think it has something to do with either it reaches a certain height or it stops flying for a certain amount of time. Because they could only film in, how long was it? 23 seconds of weightlessness. So they had to film in 23-second bursts. But apparently this is how NASA trains all their astronauts for weightlessness. But they had to obtain 3 hours and 54 minutes of filming time in zero-G maneuvers. So in only 23-second bursts.
Wow.
However, it did save a lot of money, surprisingly.
Well, hold on. Tell me what the name of the plane is really fast. I want to Google how that actually works.
KC-135. Because apparently, yeah, it was a lot cheaper to film it this way than to use actual computer graphics and stage recreation for weightlessness, which I thought was really interesting. And then while they were filming in the 25-second burst of weightlessness, it was described as being charged and frenetic. Cast and crew described the weightlessness experience as being a vomit comet and a roller coaster ride. And the motion sickness luckily only affected a few members.
There you go.
So there you go.
That sounds annoying. I would not like that.
Also, interesting fact about safety. During filming of the low temperature scenes in the Universal stages, signs that explained frostbite symptoms were posted on the stage's walls, and the crew worked in parkas.
Wait.
So I don't know if it was that cold or...
Hold on. Wait. Say the beginning of that again. Just to me.
During filming of the low temperature scenes in Universal stages, signs that explain frostbite symptoms were posted on the stage's walls.
No. I mean, they looked really cold.
They did. They looked very cold. Oh.
How cold, I wonder, was it supposed to be?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, it said like -200.
Well, that's not necessarily in the...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder.
It was probably pretty chilly inside the space
Brr.
craft. So as far as the critical response for this movie, naturally critics loved it, and it is often regarded as one of the best films of all time. In 2023, which was last year, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. And
I
then
wonder what other films are in there.
Star Wars would be an example. Maybe Lord of the Rings.
I should hope
I
so.
would assume Lord of the Rings at this point. And as far as awards go, the film was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, but only won for Best Film Editing and Best Sound. For the technical and historical accuracy, the film depicts the crew hearing the bang quickly after they stir the oxygen tanks, but apparently they heard it 95 seconds later.
Huh.
So that was interesting. And the film depicts Swigert and, is it Hayes? Haise?
Hayes?
Hayes?
I think Hayes.
Yeah. But the film depicts Swigert and Hayes arguing about whose fault it was that they were in the situation that they were in. But the astronauts later on said that argument never actually happened on the space shuttle because they were more rational than that and knew there was no way to tell whose fault it was. So there was no point in getting riled up about something like that. So that was interesting. And then the dialogue between ground control and the astronauts was taken nearly verbatim from transcripts and recordings, with the exception of one of the taglines of the film, "Houston, we have a problem," which was voted as number 50 on the list of 100 years, 100 movie quotes, I guess being most iconic movie quotes of all time.
Interesting.
According to the audio on the air-to-ground communications, the actual words uttered by Swigert were, "Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here." Ground control responded by saying, "This is Houston. Say again, please." Jim Lovell then repeated, "Houston, we've had a problem." So, close enough.
Yeah, that's basically the same thing.
But I find it interesting that line is now very iconic.
I know, literally everyone says that.
I know.
Houston, we have a problem.
Apparently, the film's also very popular for the tagline, "Failure is not an option."
I mean, everyone says that.
Everyone says it now, but apparently this movie made it popular too. But that was in the movie. It was Gene Kranz who said that. Apparently, that was never actually uttered in the actual historical event, but the writers, after interviewing various people who were involved in it, kind of felt that was like a good one-line summary to kind of explain the situation. So that was interesting.
That was interesting.
Anywho, 60 minutes in, and now I am done with my facts.
Oh, that's a lot of fun
And
facts.
there was a lot more. There
That's
was
fun.
a lot more.
That's cool.
Yeah. They were very committed to making this movie happen. Okay, so now that we're done with that, Savannah, what were your thoughts on the movie? You don't really have a history with this one either, do you?
No. What were my thoughts on the movie? I went in with not really many expectations. I think I ended up enjoying it more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had no idea what to expect, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Pleasantly surprised? Yeah. Good. Yeah, I was... I don't know if I was pleasantly surprised just because I knew this was an iconic movie. And I had taken a Ron Howard masterclass, however many years ago, and this was one he referenced a lot. And I remember looking it up and just seeing that people seemed to like it. So, yeah, I went into it, and I can't say I was surprised that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I do feel like maybe I didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping I would enjoy it. Maybe like I almost had too high of expectations for it. Just because of some, I guess, of this story structure that I wasn't the biggest fan of. And I guess that's just kind of Ron Howard's directing style. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty solid movie. I thought it was very inspiring. I thought it was well done. I thought it was thought-provoking. You know, it made you feel everything it wanted to make you feel, which was good. Yeah, that was probably my history with it. Just learned about it a few years ago and just only got around to watching it just now. Yeah. Did you have a favorite moment of the movie?
I was thinking about that earlier. Not really. I can't think of a specific moment that I thought was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Specific moment that I thought was the best. I probably, to my surprise, not that this is a moment, this is probably an aspect. I enjoyed the ground control scenes the most, I think, which surprised me.
Yeah, they were pretty interesting.
Yeah. Anytime they're like, okay, we've got to problem solve this, from here. We can't be there, and we have to tell them how to do this because we're the engineers and we know how this works. I just thought that was very interesting every single time, to the point where I was kind of like, every time they were on the space shuttle and, they're just sitting there being cold. It's like, okay, can we get back to see what they're doing down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not favorite moment so much as just aspect, which I think surprised me.
Yeah.
Because usually that's the more boring part in these kinds of movies. But
Yeah, honestly, I feel like a surprising part of this movie was how, boring, in quotes, the whole space experience was.
yeah.
It was not really that exciting.
Yeah.
Them being in the spaceship was not very exciting.
I mean, that's probably how it was.
That's
They just
true.
had to sit there while, I mean, the space shuttle just had to move through space. They didn't have to do anything. Nothing was going to stop it. What is it? Whose law is it? Newton? An object in motion will stay in motion? Was that Newton?
Maybe, I have no idea.
I think it was Newton. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's what that was. But yeah, if I think of a specific favorite moment, I'll mention that later. But now, let's go into our...
Newton.
Is it Newton?
Newton's first law of motion.
First law? Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so let's go into our rating system now, where we have... that we'll rate on a scale of 1 to 5, including our just overall entertainment, the production quality, the writing, and the content. So Savannah, for entertainment, what would you give this on a scale of 1 to 5?
Let's see here. I was thinking about this earlier too. Because I thought it was an interesting movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was particularly entertaining. It was gripping. I feel like it had just the right amount of peril, but like balanced with, it wasn't, I wouldn't say like lightheartedness, but like it was a much more chill, again, unlike Gravity. Like I felt like,
For the 20 minutes.
yeah, it's
we
like
watched
the
it.
peril that we saw was like, we knew that like, I mean, there were a couple times where like I was afraid someone was gonna die, specifically that one guy that was sick, but like
Yeah.
Henry? No, Fred.
I guess
Fredo.
so. Yeah, Fred, yep.
So, but I feel like it was a pretty, all things considered, a fairly slow-paced movie. I was kind of, I don't remember, maybe not super impatient about it ending, but I would say the entertainment value, I think my gut is saying 3,
Okay.
just as a personal opinion. Like, I wouldn't say that this is like the case for everyone, but yeah, probably 3.
Okay.
Just because I feel like I wish there would have been more emphasis on, like, you know, his relationship with his wife and his family and stuff.
okay.
But, like, I know that they're trying to go at it from a very, like, historical perspective. So, for me personally, probably a 3.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I probably teeter between 3 and 4. This wasn't a particularly, as you said, entertaining movie. It was very interesting. And I think it became more entertaining as it went along. The first third of it was kind of slow to pick up. This is a very long movie. It's like 2 hours. It's like 2.5 hours. But yeah, the first 30-ish minutes are it just kind of establishing the characters and the relationships to the family, and it just wasn't just particularly gripping. I guess because maybe they were just approaching it from a kind of a bird's eye view as opposed to like individual relationship aspects. I mean, I still cared about Jim and Marilyn's relationship. I thought they had a very sweet relationship. They had a very good and healthy relationship, which is kind of not super common to see in a movie. Which I feel like, what was it, Cinderella Man did that too, and A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Ron Howard just has a tendency to tell those stories
I
more.
wonder if Ron Howard is happily married.
We'll find out.
I mean, he's been married to the same woman since 1975.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
He wasn't even 20 when he got married.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy. And they've been married this whole time.
Well, that's fun.
Good. Good to know.
Yeah, like I was saying, the first third is just set up of the characters and kind of the rules and the world, so to speak. Even though it's the real world, it's just kind of explaining the world at the time to you. And then the second and third or parts of it are where it starts to pick up and get interesting, because the peril actually starts, and it's, you know, the characters trying to problem solve everything. And like I already mentioned, to my surprise, the ground control stuff was the most interesting. Almost to the point where I just wish we had gotten more explanation to some of the things they were trying to problem solve or fix, which we'll go into writing.
Yeah, like that one thing where they were trying to build...
Like, they just showed up with it, and we're supposed to believe it works without them really telling us how.
Or even what it even was doing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was getting rid of the carbon dioxide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, how did it do that? We don't know. I really enjoyed the actor Ed Harris who did Gene Kranz. He was probably my favorite part of the movie, favorite actor. Tom Hanks I thought was fine. He was just kind of there. Kind of a generic
Yeah, I wouldn't say any of the men in the spaceship were particularly interesting.
Yeah. Well, what was this? I had an odd thought, and this will go into quality. Well, for entertainment, I'll just give it a solid number to start. I'll be gracious and give it a 4. I'll give it a 4, just because it does get interesting, but it's kind of slow to get there. Okay, production quality. I'm going to start. The vibes of this movie are very ugly. Like, something about the makeup and the costumes for everyone, and even the set design was ugly.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not like, it's no one in particular is like, oh, they're just so ugly. It's just something about how they built the aesthetics just was not appealing to me.
I don't really feel like I noticed that.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it was very... I feel like the control room and like all the stuff in mission control or whatever, ground control was pretty ugly.
Yeah.
So the inside of the spaceship also pretty ugly, but I didn't notice with the people that much.
Yeah. I mean, I felt that was how it was with the people myself. Like, I don't know
They're
why
just
it
all
was.
so ugly.
I guess so. Sorry, Tom Hanks. I don't know. Maybe it was just the times and the costumes and but whatever. Quality. I'm gonna give this. I think this is the first '90s movie where I'm gonna give this that we've reviewed. I'm gonna give a 5 because I think. Well, just reading over some of the other fun facts, a lot of NASA engineers complimented how much accuracy the film had with the set designs, which don't look exciting and they're kind of chaotic and crazy, but their goal is to be historically accurate.
Yeah.
And that's very impressive. Like, there was a lot of detail that had to go into it. I thought it was very well made, even if it just doesn't look the nicest, but that wasn't their goal necessarily.
Yeah. I feel like it was a pretty utilitarian movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the acting was good all around. I thought I can't say the sound design stood out to me as particularly interesting, even though it did win an award for that. The music wasn't particularly inspiring, in my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of James Horner's music. But yeah, I think the biggest compliment I can give this is the sets that they built, and just the attention to detail that they gave that, and everything else was good. It's obviously restricted just because it was a '90s movie, but like for a '90s movie, they did a very, very good job with what they had, and they were very committed to making it look detailed and accurate. And to my surprise, the anti-gravity scenes, I felt like I wasn't super impressed by them for some reason. Maybe just because they figured out better ways to do it since then, like with Interstellar. I just felt like...
How do they do it now? Or like with
Well, it's a
Interstellar?
combination of different things. It depends. I just felt like for this one, to me, it always felt like things were like half anti-gravity, like they were always still going down, but just like slower. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I kind of picked up on it eventually, because there's who was it? Christopher Nolan, I think, when he was doing Interstellar, said like when they were doing anti-gravity scenes, their trick was to use a whole bunch of different methods so the audience never caught on as to, so that's how they did it at any given moment. Whereas I think this one suffered a little bit from, because they used the same method again and again, it became like, something's a little trippy about this. Like, I'm seeing a pattern. But,
yeah, I didn't notice that, but again, I don't really pay attention to stuff like that. I feel like I would give this movie, I was leaning towards 4.
Okay.
Probably. I mean, only because like I don't have the like knowledge necessarily to like pick out like all the technical things, but I thought it was pretty good for a '90s movie. Like, I felt like it was very convincing every time they were in the spaceship or the space shuttle or whatever it's called. I was very convinced that they were there. Everything from like the way they moved through it and like the condensation on the inside and stuff. I felt like it was very convincing and compelling. Yeah, I just thought it was. I don't know. I thought they paid a lot of attention to detail. Like I said, you covered most of what I was thinking, but I felt like the attention to detail was really good.
Yeah. Even the spacesuits, which we both kind of giggled at because we thought they looked really corny. I mean, like, that's what they look like then, so. Oh, well. Writing. What would you give this one for writing? Obviously, it's based off of a historical event, so it's like, how much of it can I just give it to them as being, like, super smart writing to, like,
Or even be like, this wasn't super exciting, but it was I'd probably give it a 4 also.
Okay.
I thought it was good. I thought it was well written for sure. I thought there were a couple things I wish they would have clarified more.
Yeah, spent more time elaborating on.
Like, I don't know, I feel like we got a certain impression of the one guy that got left behind with the measles. Like, we just saw, like, random scenes of him with, like, women, or a woman
No.
Yeah, didn't we?
No, that was Kevin Bacon's character, I think. He was like, I guess,
Reputed.
well regarded for
Yeah.
being that
Oh,
kind of
I don't
person.
know. I mean, either way, like, we kind of just didn't see that. It was, like, kind of weird.
Yeah.
I feel like there were just a couple little things I could pick at, but I thought all in all it was pretty decent.
Yeah. I kind of go back between 4 and 5 on this one. Yeah, they didn't really invest me in Jim's, or yeah, Mr. Lovell, Jim, whatever you want to call him, Jim Lovell's relationship with his family as much as I would have wanted
Yeah,
them to.
I think that's my biggest gripe, too.
Especially with his kids, like the fact that he had another son who just magically appears towards the
Yeah.
end, like he has another son. What?
I know, because, like, they kind of build up the relationship between him and the younger boy. Like, you know,
little
they
bit,
have
yeah.
like, some conversations and stuff, but, like, we never hear about.
We never hear about the
older
older
boy.
boy until the very end, and it's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's like okay,
It's just randomly like, and so-and-so's son in military school standing vigil with his classmates. I'm like,
yeah.
okay.
And we didn't really get any build up with his relationship with his daughters. There was the one funny line with his eldest daughter who was arguing with Marilyn about what she was going to wear. And then Jim's like half paying attention. And she's like, Dad, can I wear this? And he's like, yes. And then he turns back around and Marilyn like gives him a look. And then he turns right back around and says, no, absolutely not. I thought that was funny.
That was funny.
I did think they did a pretty good job with Jim and Marilyn's relationship, though.
Yeah.
Like the whole... There's the one scene where Jim and the youngest son are sitting in the kitchen before Marilyn's up talking about just problems that could happen on the space shuttle. And Marilyn kind of comes up and is listening. You can tell she's struggling with the thought of him leaving and going on this dangerous mission. And then she kind of panics and doesn't want to go. But then she changes her mind and shows up when he's blasting off. So I thought they did a pretty good job there. And they kept us connected to her character the whole time. It's just we didn't really have a whole lot with the kids. Although I will say that there were several moments that touched me whenever they showed Marilyn or the kids getting really nervous or sad.
Yeah.
Like the no, I think it was Jim's mother they went to. And the little girl just starts crying because she's so scared. That touched me. I felt things there. I do feel like some of the writing and some of the lines are a little corny. Like a little too forced in terms of what they're saying, trying to make you feel things. It's just like, okay, all right. But I've liked the... it wasn't a twist because I guess it really happened. Where Ken's character, ends up being grounded, Ken Mattingly, because he's supposedly going to have the measles. And ironically, he never gets the measles. But how him staying behind means that, like, he can help the other astronauts in space figure out how they're going to get back in the atmosphere. That was, that lent itself very well to the plot.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
I know. Yeah, that was cool.
I thought the dynamic between the three astronauts was pretty good for the most part. It just felt awkward in a way that I think it was supposed to, because there was Jack's character who just wasn't quote unquote supposed to be there.
Yeah, I felt like there wasn't really any camaraderie with him.
Yeah. So yeah, and I really liked the all the control room stuff, as you know. But yeah, I'd probably give this one a 4, but it is definitely close to being a 5. And I don't do decimals.
That's true.
But it was very well done. Just rather than, there's no like one big thing that makes me be like, oh, I wish they'd done that better, so much as just accumulation of lots of little miscellaneous things. All right, so content. What would you give this for content? Content's where the more negative aspects against the more positive aspects of the story. Negative being, violence, more sexual content, language, just things that we might find unnecessary, more offensive, and how that kind of weighs in with the type of story that they're telling.
I'd say I would give it a probably like 4.5
Okay.
to a 5.
Okay.
Because I think all of the, like, the only thing I can think of that was, like, scandalous or bad would have been the language. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was very appropriate for the circumstances they were in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like, a swearing person, but, like, I thought none of it was out of place. I don't think there was really too much crude stuff.
No.
There was, like, maybe 1 or 2 crude
It literally opens with a somewhat crass description about the space shuttle description.
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
That was literally how it opened.
Yeah.
And then, like, nothing ever followed up that. So it's like, that was very odd.
Yeah,
Where
that
did
was
that
a
come
little
from?
weird. That was, like, I don't think, like, a young person, like a young
No.
kid would really...
They wouldn't. It'd totally go over their heads.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty wholesome, all things considered. There's that scene of, what's his name? What's the main character?
Jim?
And his wife in the backyard, and like,
Yeah.
he like kind of like crawls on her, and like is scandalous slightly, but not really.
Yeah.
Nothing that like kids wouldn't see their parents doing occasionally. So yeah, I'd probably say I'd give it like a 4.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think it gets a 4 just because of the biggest thing being the language. Once again, you did point out, like, it makes sense why it's there. And there wasn't a lot of it either. It wasn't excessive.
It was just random.
Yeah. I guess the peril of this situation could be considered, but, like, that's...
I feel like all things considered, they were very chill up there.
Yeah.
Like, there was not really a ton of, like, hysteria and freaking out.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, looking over the single Wikipedia article I looked over for the movie, I didn't look up the actual Apollo 13 one too much. I mean, that's just how they had to be, both astronauts and the control people, because, like, what else can you do? Freaking out isn't going to do anything. And it makes sense that a lot of these guys would come from the military because they'd have the discipline to, like, be able to think through things instead of freaking out. And I think I would almost give this one a 5 just because even though there is language, you describe this movie as being our finest hour kind of movie, where it's really just like the best of humanity, the best aspects of humanity on display, seeking to help their fellow man and seeking to, be diligent and overcoming the problem, not giving in to despair. So that it's a very uplifting and encouraging and inspiring film in that way.
Yeah.
So I feel like that outshadows a lot of any potential negative elements there are, and even then there's not a lot. So
Yeah.
it does I might, would I give it a 5? I don't know.
I feel
I'm
like
thinking
4 is fair.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think of, like, what age I'd be fine. Like, at what point I'd let my kids watch this.
I'd feel like I'd let like a 10 plus year old watch it.
Yeah.
Because like before then they probably wouldn't even care anyway. But I feel like there's a lot to be learned and gleaned from the way that they handled the situation, how they were managing it.
Yeah. I guess I'll give it a 4. But it's a very close 5. It's a very close 5 for me.
So what would be your rating for the entire movie?
For the entire movie, let's see. That brings me to 4, 5, 4, 4. So 4.25.
4.25. Are you really going by like exact average for your rating?
Well, that's what it all comes out to, but what does that line up with what it actually give it? What it actually give it? I think this close. I'd give this like a 4 to 4.5. So 4.25. I think that's pretty close to what I'd give it if I were to just give my rating. Because it's pretty good. It's like we said, it's not particularly entertaining at some parts. But yeah, it's good. It's a well done movie. It's an inspiring story. There's a lot, like you said, to be learned from the characters, and there's a lot to be learned historically, and there's a lot to be learned just in filmmaking from this. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff that you can glean from this. It's just maybe not the nicest package they could have presented it in.
Yeah, but I thought it was still pretty decent.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that it's not. But yeah, there's just a couple things that are keeping it back from being, perfect.
Yeah, I think I would give this movie a 4 also. Because it was good. It just is not something I would personally seek out to, like, watch.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as dramatic as, like, Interstellar, so I would probably be more likely to watch Interstellar again, even though Interstellar was kind of emotionally taxing.
That's true.
But, like, I just feel like this one is, more of a boy movie.
I can see that. I
So-
can see that argument.
So, yeah, I thought it was good, though. I'd give it a solid 4.
You'd let your boys watch this.
Yeah, I'd love it. I think there's a lot to be emulated and learned from the people in this movie. And it's encouraging and good.
Yeah. Well, Tom Hanks is in this movie. So, do you think that Tom Hanks should replace anyone?
No, he should be himself.
Should he be himself? Do you think if there had to be 2 Tom Hanks in the movie?
No.
I think Tom Hanks should do all the astronauts. I think it's just Tom Hanks with Tom Hanks with Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks is down there helping them.
Wow, that'd be a lot of
That
Tom
would be a
Hanks.
lot of Tom Hanks.
That'd be crazy.
Could he do it? Maybe.
Probably.
Okay. Well, thank you all for listening to our review of Apollo 13. We hope you were inspired to have some more conversation around the movies you're watching. Let us know what you thought of our review in the comments. Let us know how we did on the rating. And until next time, and we need to come up with a better tagline than good night, because what if you're listening to this in the morning? They're going to get sleepy
That's true.
sooner than they should.
Go forth and watch cool movies.
Sure, that's a little lengthy though.
Good day.
Good day. But what if it's night?
How about bye?
Bye. What if we should just say, until next time, good film hunting? Does that work?
No.
No?
How about good riddance?
Good riddance. Get out of here.
Go away.
I don't want you here. We'll figure it out, guys. We'll figure it out next time. Don't worry. We'll have a better one. But yes, we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.